Because I know, yeah, did anything pop up for you with the transcription? No.
Not right now, but you see it on your side?
Yeah, and
Okay.
when you go up
It
to
popped up
more,
on mine, recording and transcription.
okay. If you go up to more, there should be like a record and transcribe option.
Yeah, so I see. Oh, so you can actually put
Yeah,
show transcript and it'll come up
yeah,
on the side. Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
okay. Yeah, so that's how it's showing up for me.
Okay. I'll just mention that when I get to that piece.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll give people some time to log in, and then I'll do a little intro for you and we can get started.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
I'm Dr. Jones from the School of Nursing.
Hi, Dr. Jones.
Hi, nice to see you all.
Nice
I'm
to meet
very
you.
interested in this presentation today.
Great.
I'm the holistic advisor here in the LPN program. And also I'm a professor emeritus here from Carlow. So I just want to gain all the information I can about AI, okay, and our students.
Great. Hi, Beth and Pam, Chad, everybody. David.
Hi.
Hi, David.
Hello.
As I have a Word document that I'm just going to work off from, and Allison is going to share that with you after the meeting. And just I'm going to end up sharing my screen the whole time, so I might not be able to see you, but just, unmute your mic and pop in with any questions, or if you have other AI tools to add. There's so many. I try to just narrow it down to a few. So you can always give suggestions of other AI tools to use.
Yeah, Melanie, do you think we should give it like another minute and then I can kick us off, or do you think we should just...
I'm ready to go if you're ready.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you everyone who's joined us so far. Today our special guest is Melanie Nordwall from our TRIO Student Support Student Support Services Office. And she's going to be talking about some of the AI tools that students can use and that we have available for students to use to help them in their learning experience. So Melanie, if you want to take it away, I think we're good to go.
Okay, so I'm just going to share this Word document and then, here we go. And then we're just going to do some demonstrations as well of all these tools. So just to start, AI uses language, and it's a field of data science that helps computers understand and generate human language. So AI helps students with disabilities because there's many students with disabilities that have challenges with language. So students with characteristics of dyslexia, autism spectrum, learning disabilities. I was just reading something yesterday that said 75 to 85% of students with learning disabilities, their basic deficits are in reading and writing. And then it, helps everybody. There's a lot of English language learners here on campus, international students or multilingual students. We have students who are deaf and hard of hearing, so live captioning is very important to them. And students who have physical disabilities and even temporary disabilities, or even, just as our bodies change as we age, sometimes typing can be difficult. And so, like, I worked in the K-12 school districts for a long time, and I worked with a lot of students with cerebral palsy, juvenile arthritis, those who've had strokes or spinal injuries, and they didn't have a great way to type. And so using word prediction and auto completion really would speed up their typing process. So we'll get into that a little bit. And then students with executive functioning challenges or students with ADHD and other challenges have difficulty with time and task management. And so now there's some really cool tools that help with that. So I really love this quote. Accessible technology is essential for some, so it can be essential for some of those populations I just named, and it's useful for all. So many people have found all these tools useful, and I've been in this field for over 20 years, and just to see how specialized so many of these tools were in the beginning, and now they're mainstream technology that everybody has access to, it's just amazing. The concepts are the same, but it's just wider spread, and just the method of delivery has changed. Everything I have a couple of tables down below, and then everything that we talk about in these tables, the same type of things can be accomplished with the OpenAI tools, Chat GPT, Google Gemini, Microsoft Copilot. You just have to know what kind of prompt to use. And really that's what these AI tools are doing. They're just behind the scenes, have some prompts worked out. So you can do all of this with just the free OpenAI. All right. The first chart is talking about reading support. The biggest change I've seen in the last year is everything. It just seems like every tool is adding this summarized feature. And so that will take reading material and make it into shorter paragraphs or key points that makes the information digestible, helps the student maintain engagement. And so I'm seeing this everywhere. And before these AI tools came along, this is what in my K-12 career, I would have a lot of teacher in-service trainings, and teachers often need to modify the curriculum to meet all the diverse learners in their classrooms. So I would show teachers this text compactor tool where you would paste text in here and then just kind of slide this to see how much of the text you want to keep. And then it would summarize down in this box. And I just tried this right before, and I pasted in an article, but the article was too long. You basically just have to paste in paragraph by paragraph. So it's fantastic now that with AI, you can summarize an article really quickly. And so our students in the TRIO office have the privilege of having Otter AI for the pro version for free. Our program is paying for that. I'm going to talk more about Otter in a minute. Let me move this little bar so I can, there we go. Oh, I had it pulled up. Somehow I closed my tab. Let me go back in here. I want to show you an example. Okay, so when I'm teaching students how to use Otter AI, it's basically a transcription tool. So students with permission from their course instructors can record the lecture and record the audio and have a transcription. And now AI has this summary tool. And as I look at this, I was really disappointed because this is a transcript of a TED Talk on how to grow fresh air. So the whole point of the TED Talk was to give you information on the kinds of plants you can have indoors that will clean the air. And there were 3 plants that the person was talking about: this palm, mother-in-law tongue, and money plant. And as I look at the summary didn't get that. Surprisingly, it gave us some kind of other information that I don't think was necessarily pertinent to the whole point of the TED Talk. So I definitely see, there are definitely limitations, I guess. And when I talk to the students about this, I also, in this document, I have down at the bottom a link to a handout on reading comprehension. It talks about active reading strategies. So one of the active reading strategies is to turn a title or a heading into a question. So, the question, this one is a question, how to grow fresh air. That's the point. That's the answer that you're looking for. And I think that this summary didn't really hit that. So I just wanted to show you, there's an example of something that's, could be useful, but has its limitations. Google Notebook, is anybody using this right now? Jump in if you're using Google Notebook.
I
Okay.
use Otter all the time, but I've not tried Google Notebook yet.
Okay. So I did not know about this, but each week I send out some tech tips to the TRIO students. And so more than one of them have come to me and said, hey, have you looked at this Google Notebook LM? And they are very excited about it. They're spreading the word. They wanted me to spread the word. What this does is they automatically give you an example here, is you create a notebook and then you have pages in the notebook and it's going to be sources. So you can pull in YouTube videos, this is pulling Wikipedia articles. So you pull in all these sources. You can even pull in documents and videos from Brightspace. Whatever your course instructor has on Brightspace, you can pull it in to this notebook LM. And then it gives you a summary. And then it gives you some ideas of questions you can ask the chat. So in here, this one's giving you like an idea. So create a study guide. So students are doing this. They're saying create a study guide on this, and then it will create one for you. So it's taken a minute, but it's going to pull that up. There we go. And it pulls in the sources. So students are finding this helpful, and it gives you, this one is giving you some different ideas for prompts. You can, if course instructors are using this, you can say create an assessment or create a quiz. There's all kinds of ways to use it. I think if I go back here, it gives some more examples, like suggest 3 ideas for a paper about Einstein's career. So some idea generation. Or if there is an educator teaching 6-year-olds, the educator could say, write a short story for a 6-year-old based on the invention of the light bulb. And then they can use that as a lesson in their class. So this is quite interesting. What are people's thoughts? I'm just kind of curious. I'm gonna come back. Anybody have thoughts on that one?
I love
Melanie,
it. It looks a little complicated though.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like, I think this is great. I use a lot of these different things, but I've never actually used Google Notebook, and I didn't know that it did this. And so I'm really impressed, honestly, if anything. I think that's really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's still evolving. I'm on like a Google newsletter, and they just sent something out this week that now there's going to be, they're rolling it out to businesses and universities, and it's evolving quickly. Seems like everything's evolving very quickly. Okay, I'm going to keep moving on. Go. All right. So let me talk about this. I have over here Magic School, my Magic School AI. I have a description of it down here at the bottom. Educators are very excited about this, especially I'm hearing, in the K-12 classrooms. So it was built for educators to help develop lesson plans, design assignments, generate assessments, create newsletters, all those things. So it claims to have 60 plus AI tools and says they can save up to 10 hours a week of like prep for the classroom. Right now it's free for educators for basic use, but then there's a paid version with other features. And it does have some resources for students as well, but it was mainly designed for educators. And if you click on this link later when you get the document, it lists all the tools right here. And so I've pulled out some of them that I feel are helpful for students, and I have those included in my document. So one of them, the summarizer tool, and then this text leveling tool, which is actually helpful for educators. So we'll talk about that. That's students or educators in K-12 who have a general education classroom with diverse learners at different levels, skill levels. There could be a lesson that, I don't know, say we're talking about the light bulb, the invention of the light bulb. And some students are reading at grade level, some students are at a different grade level, but this text leveling tool takes the main concepts from the material and will rewrite it at a level that the student can comprehend and read independently. So, there is learning to read in the lower grades, but then you hit that point where you're reading to learn. And so this is helpful for educators who are differentiating the course materials in their classroom. So when I was working with students before all this came out, working with educators, if educators were manually doing this, they could use the text compactor to summarize the material, and then this Rewordify website to simplify the language. So, and it gives example down here. Like here's a sentence with lots of scientific terms, and then it'll convert it into vocabulary that children can understand. So these are kind of the old school tools. And now it's very quick with AI. So there's a link to that text leveler there. And Snap and Read is very similar to Read and Write, which we have here on campus, but it did have a text leveling tool built in, and this is before all these AI tools came out. All right, so I'm going to move on. So translation, I'm not going to do any demonstrating for this. Most people know of Google Translate. There's Microsoft Bing Translator. There's Microsoft Translate in Word, and that is on a lot of places. But now there's like AI features built in that make it even better. Read and Write. Since I didn't mention that, I'm going to pull up the Read and Write toolbar. Read and Write is a tool that has been around for a long time, and here at Carlow, the university is paying for it. So students, staff, and faculty can all use Read and Write. And it has a lot of these tools that are helpful for students with disabilities. So this is something that's been around for a while. We still have it now. It has a spell checker, word prediction, dictionary, it reads documents out loud. Creates an audio file, screen masking is for concentration and focus, dictation. So I'm not going to demonstrate all those right now, but that is what Read and Write is on this list. And all the students and faculty have access to that still today, and it still works really well. The And Read and Write does have this vocabulary list maker, so that helps with learning and studying. Magic School also has a vocabulary list generator, so just a good tool for studying. So those are some reading supports. If I'm going too fast, let me know. I just want to make sure I get through everything, so I'm going to keep moving. Writing support. So word prediction and auto completion. So back in the beginning, co-writer has been around for a long time. So this is where you start typing the first letter of a word, and then a list will pop up that will give you suggestions of the word it's thinking you're trying to type. And so when you choose those words, it can decrease the number of keystrokes when you're typing. So that speeds up your typing speed, also helps with spelling, and it can reduce the mental load of if you don't know how to spell a word, if the word you're looking for pops up, that helps. So this was something important for those students with writing difficulties that didn't have fine motor skills for two-handed typing. Word prediction has been really important to help them write faster and get their homework and assignments done. And co-writer is kind of the grandfather of word prediction. This was developed by an individual with dyslexia, and it's still the gold standard. And let me see what my link here shows. Yeah. But this was done, somebody has coded this. This was before AI, so they added all these tools behind the scenes. Why co-writers, the gold standards, is that it has this flexible spelling. So students who are sounding out a word like elephant, it will predict that word. So that inventive or phonetic spelling, it will figure that out. It also had topic dictionaries. So if you're writing a paper about baseball, then it's more likely to have baseball terms in the list that pops up. And this software was really expensive. And so I see AI as kind of taking that over in being able to help with, inventive spelling and topic dictionaries. So it's kind of exciting that I feel like it's going to become mainstream technology really quickly. I haven't seen it there yet. But we do have, if I turn on text suggestions I don't know if everybody knows this, but you can turn on word prediction on a Windows computer. If you go to text suggestions and then under the hardware keyboard, show text. And so in a Word document, I'm just going to come down here to the bottom. When you start typing, then it's going to predict what you're saying. So then you can either use an arrow and an enter or your mouse cursor to complete the word. So that is built into Microsoft Windows right now. And on a Mac, if you have a keyboard with, if you have a keyboard with like a kind of a touch screen at this top on a Mac, word prediction is in that. And then now there's Smart Compose in Google Docs and Gmail, and Auto Text in Microsoft Word, and then Smart Reply in Gmail and Outlook. So you've probably noticed when you hit reply in your Outlook email, it might give you some suggestions of sentences to, a response that you can just click on. So you have one click rather than typing out an entire sentence. So for students with physical disabilities, this really can help. Auto text in Microsoft Word. Let me turn off text suggestions so it makes it a little easier to see. Okay. So if let's see. I did this in Outlook. Let me try it. Let me try it in Outlook again. Like the auto text, like a new mail. Like if I started typing, of course, there you go. So I typed how A, and then you can see the rest of it's predicting what I'm going to say. So I can use the right arrow or a tab key to finish that, so it saves you keystrokes. Okay. I'm just going to check in again. Any question? Let me look in the chat. Any questions in the chat? Okay. Any questions or comments?
No, Melanie, I think like just for me, like even in like text messaging, they have that capability now where like it'll like auto-populate responses. You can just click and it's, I think, something that like some of us can take for granted is like, oh, it's there, but we don't think about how that can be really helpful for people who struggle a little bit more or have different learning experiences. So it's nice to see that like in a different context. So
Yeah, true. Yeah, like if you hadn't thought about how useful that could be for somebody with a physical disability, it is kind of a nice reminder. Thanks. All right. So yeah, we'll keep talking about that. Here we are. Yeah, so another in the same vein is, voice recognition. So speech to text and transcriptions. So this Dragon Naturally Speaking has been around for a long time. When I first started working this field, I worked for a head and spinal cord injury association. And so Dragon Naturally Speaking, for some individuals with high-level spinal cord injuries, it was the only way that they could type or operate a computer. So now Dragon Naturally Speaking also has voice commands for operating a computer. So that was the way they would speak everything that was typed in a word processing application and control the computer. And it's really great that now, and this was, again, really expensive software back in the day, and now Google has voice typing, Microsoft has dictate, it like Microsoft Word. Here's the dictate button right here. Here it goes, it's starting up. I'm gonna turn it off. So it's so nice that these tools are available, and with AI being, language based, everything is just improving. And then Otter, I said I was going to come back to Otter. Let me move this toolbar again. I still don't have it up. Well, maybe I'll come back again. So for our students that have difficulty with handwriting or even paying attention, or students with auditory processing disorders, I'll just give you an example. There was a student that I worked with who was in high school who had an auditory processing disorder, and very smart student in all honors classes, but he really struggled with note taking, trying to process the information that's being spoken aloud and handwrite at the same time. And he just really struggled with that. He would often interrupt the teacher to ask questions or have her repeat things. And his anxiety was very high because he was really worried about missing information. And so when I worked with him and gave him a note-taking application that transcribed what the teacher was saying, and you could also listen to the audio recording and hear what the teacher had said, it solved all his problems because he stopped interrupting the teacher and the class. His anxiety went down. He himself said it was just a huge game changer. The teachers reported that they noticed his anxiety was down and he just felt more confident about everything. So I just want to, give you that story to tell you that for some people, this is really important, to be able to have the lectures transcribed and to be able to go back to review and pull out the information. They can come in and do highlighting or, do comments, put things in their own words. So it just really is helpful for individuals. Have any of the course instructors here had experience with students using Otter AI in their classroom?
I've actually taught my students to use it in the classroom so that they could take good notes, and yeah, so kind of.
Yeah, good.
Because I use it, I love it. I use it all the time, and I find it so helpful.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, things that can be essential for some people are beneficial to all.
Oh, hi. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Hi.
Hi, thanks for all this. I just wanted to share, I had an interesting experience with the Otter AI, not at Carlow, but on a Zoom meeting where an Otter AI showed up and the person wasn't in the meeting and everybody was waiting for the person. And I happen to know the person, so I was able to get in touch with them and say, "Hey, your AI is here, but you're not here." And she was horrified. I guess if it's in your calendar, sometimes your otter will show up. So, anyways, it was just an interesting experience, and she felt terrible. And so I just wanted to mention that
She can
like a little rogue.
disconnect that. She can disconnect it from Zoom if she wants to. But she probably inadvertently set it up and it showed up automatically. Yeah. And I only know that because I found out the hard way.
Yes. Yeah, so I guess that could be, a downside of AI. It's too smart. It like shows up to the meeting whether you're there or not, huh? Yeah. Okay. All right. And then another support tool for writing is the proofreading and tone reader. So a lot of people know about Grammarly, and Microsoft Editor is really similar to that. As you can see here, I'm going to move my window over. It'll give you so Microsoft Editor built into Word here will give you a score. It gives you the tone of the writing right here. It just has a few, it only has 3, but I think Grammarly has more different ways to tell you the tone of your writing. And then it'll give you like a traditional spell checker that we used to use, spelling, grammar errors. And then it has some suggestions for refinements. So that is a very useful tool for everybody. And the tone reader is especially helpful for individuals on the autism spectrum. They may have a challenge like reading emotion or reading the tone of an email. So I know one person in particular has said he received an email and he thought maybe the person is mad at him. He wasn't sure if the person was mad at him. So he just pasted the email into Chat GPT and said, "Is this person mad at me?" And it tried to like figure out the tone of that email. And the same thing, Goblin Tools does the same thing here on this judge tab. You can enter in some text here and judge the tone of it. And then I like that it suggests a response too. So it could give you an idea of how to respond to that particular text message, email, whatever it might be. So students on the autism spectrum have found that to be helpful. All right. Time and task management. So many of the students in the TRIO program struggle a bit with time and task management, probably everybody. And one of the strategies that I'm always teaching is breaking down a large assignment into smaller steps just to reduce overwhelm, have a strategy of working on one thing at a time. And I often show students this assignment calculator. So this was the old school way of doing it. So if they had a research paper, you could put in the due date. So let's say it's just due a month from today, and then hit calculate. And then it's going to give you step by step. So by Friday, you need to understand the assignment and select a topic. And then by Sunday, draft your thesis or research question. So it gives you a date, deadlines for each of the tiny little steps to step you through to the final project. So I always share that with our students. And now Goblin, but it only has, it's a bit limited because it just has it for research paper, speech, or lab report. And now Goblin Tools, students are loving Goblin Tools. This magic to do in Goblin Tools, like one student came to me and said, I have an argumentative essay due. So you type that in there, and then you can drag this slider as to how much breaking down do you need, just a little bit of breaking down or a lot. So this was kind of more of a lot, but here's the different steps that it came up with. And I tell the students, like, check this out with the syllabus, make sure it aligns with what your course instructor is really asking you to do. So again, everything with AI, you have to verify it. So, but that has been helpful. You can just type in anything. Like some other examples are like find a summer job, or I don't know, plan a birthday party. You can put anything in there and have it broken down into smaller steps. Then time blocking. So we often in the TRIO office help students create their master schedule and calendar of like, have it written out visually, put all your classes in, have an hourly calendar with your classes, with your athletic schedule, all your obligations, and then find those breaks in your schedule for working on assignments. And this time on task calculator is helpful for kind of determining, like if you have so many pages out of a textbook to read, it can estimate like how long that might take you. And then that helps with figuring out, where to plug that into your schedule and get that assignment done by the time that it's due. But now, and this, I have not looked into this. This is my next rabbit hole I'm going to go down to show students. So I need to investigate this a little bit myself and start showing students. But there are tools that will analyze your calendar and find those places. So Motion, it says it handles the scheduling of tasks, reducing the need for manual setup. Reclaim says it analyzes your calendar and schedule to find ways to claw back more free time. So those are their claims. And we just go there, it kind of gives some examples down at the bottom. Yeah, so it's just like putting some of those things into these slots that come up in your schedule. So it could be pretty cool. So I'm excited about trying that out. Has anybody actually tried that out? Anybody using those tools? No? Okay. All right. So then there's so much. And for each of these, there's so many tools out there, but I can't put them all in. But anyway, here's more ways that AI is being used. Live captions, of course, are essential for individuals who are deaf or hard of hearing, but it helps everybody. It's useful in situations where there's a lot of background noise. It can help increase audience engagement and comprehension. If they kind of don't quite catch what you're saying, having it written on the screen is helpful. And this is built into Google Slides, Google Meet, Microsoft PowerPoint, so you can be giving a presentation, a PowerPoint presentation, and it comes up. Teams, if you want to, I don't know if I stopped sharing. Let me see. I don't know if I can double show in Teams. So if I turn on the show transcript, are you guys seeing this? So then the transcript's over on the side. Okay. So you can turn it on in Teams. So you can be reading the transcript as the presentation is going on. Okay. Now I feel like I'm in here double. I don't know how to get back. Okay. Are we back on the document? Okay, good. All right. And Live Transcribe, that's from Google. That's a free app that will, you can, if you're working with somebody who is deaf or hard of hearing, you can put the Live Transcribe app on your phone and they can read what you're saying. So that's an easy way to communicate with somebody and just remove that barrier. And then, AI is being used a lot for idea generation. There are so many ways you can ask ChatGPT, Gemini, Copilot with help for. I actually use this in trying to get students' attention when I'm sending them emails or putting things on my Carlow that I want to get their attention. I use these tools and say, write 30 email subject lines on this. Or I'd be like, write a fun, or I might even sometimes say, write a clickbait email subject line, like, because I want people to get this information. I don't want them to ignore it. So I use it for that to try to capture the student's attention when I send them an email. So there's a lot of different ways to use it for idea generation. I did look into whiteboard apps, mind map apps, graphic organizer apps that have AI built in, but I decided not, so you can find those, but I decided not to include them here because, as other people have reviewed, I looked at some reviews, and really the con they're saying of using AI for mind maps is that the value comes in the creating of the mind map yourself and drawing those connections between the information. And that's what really helps you learn and remember the information. So, it's there, but if AI creates it yourself, you are losing out on that, important piece of drawing those connections yourself. Study tools. So we looked at Notebook LM, how it can create a study guide. Quizlet now has the same type of feature where you can upload notes, lectures, presentations, and it will create, those flashcards and study guides from those materials that you upload. Quiz Gecko. You don't upload anything, but you can type in a topic and it will create a quiz. And then Conmingo is very popular right now. This is from Khan Academy. And that is an AI power tool that allows students to, it's like AI tutoring, or, creates lessons and tries and tests knowledge on certain topics. So I haven't looked into that too much, but that seems very popular right now. And then there's math solving apps. Microsoft has a math solver now. There's Stepwise Math, which is AI math tutoring. I have not tried these out either. So more deep dives to come. And then for public speaking practice, PowerPoint has a speaker coach. I meant to bring that. I meant to do an example. But it will tell you in the speaker coach feature, it will tell you like how your pace, if you're saying a lot of those filler words, could give you some suggestions on volume or, how you're talking. I forget, I haven't used it in a while, but that's what I remember. It gives you feedback that it's the same type of feedback that maybe somebody, if you were presenting to another person and asked for feedback, the same type of feedback that they would give you. But it actually like calculates like your speech rate and things like that. So, all right, I'm gonna just stop before I go to the resources. All right, tell me your thoughts. What are you thinking? Has this met anyone's expectations? I hope that it gave you some more ideas, things to try.
I think it really helped me a lot, especially as I'm thinking about the redesign of some of the work that we're doing for Title III and the universal design for learning approach, and giving everybody kind of that scaffolding that they need, because some students might be moving quickly through something, whereas some students might need a lot more support and help. So I can see great advantages to using some of these tools for scaffolding. Thank you, Melanie, too.
Yeah, thank you, Melanie. I really appreciated learning about these tools that are available. And it's really stunning, the array of tools that are available. I do worry a little bit about probably because a lot of my students are graduate students, and I'm becoming a dinosaur. But I always encourage them to get to know the important writers in an area, so that they can develop some expertise in that. And I worry that if they're using summary tools, that they could be missing out on some really important information. So I think some of the tools I would really think could get in the way. I get concerned enough about the way articles are disembodied in databases now, so that you can't, like in the old days when we worked with paper, you would go and pull a journal, and we were always taught to look at who's on the editorial board and assess, the point of view possibly, or potential bias of the journal. And so they're already missing all of that with the way the articles are sort of hanging in cyberspace. But it just seems like we're getting steps and steps and steps more removed from the writer and the writer's intent, and I worry about that a little bit. But it's probably just a sign I'm a dinosaur. So, but thank you very much.
If I could just climb onto that for a hot minute.
Yeah.
I agree with you to some extent, Pamela, but I also think that it's challenging us as teachers to think more creatively about how we're teaching the content. Because I do think I teach the nursing, the graduate student nurses about synthesizing, and I've taught them how to create a synthesis table. And I've also taught them how to use ChatGPT to do the synthesis. But that doesn't mean that they're not also having to read the articles, because one of the things that I do before that is I have them go through the article and look for the different kinds of information sources that, like, where are the data? What data are they coming with? What are the main points that they're coming away with? And then having them look for the themes around those. So if you have them do the extra step, yeah, they can synthesize that, but they're going to have to go back and take a look at it, because if they're going to go and look at those themes, they're going to have to make a justification for it. So it's being creative about how you get them to reflect back what they're reading. And I think that's the step that, as an instructional designer, I'm finding exciting.
Yeah.
Is it challenging? Yeah, but it's also exciting to me to think about teaching it differently.
Alexis, that sounds really interesting. Have you done a workshop on the creation of the synthesis table?
Yeah, you want me to do that? I can do that.
That would be amazing. Because
Yeah.
I do use a table for a matrix method for building a literature review.
Yeah.
But I'd love to see how you're approaching that, because that sounds fascinating. Thank you so much.
It was a game changer for me as a researcher too, when I learned how to do that. But yeah, I would be thrilled to teach a workshop on that.
That'd be very cool. Thank you. For any of us who have literature review assignments. Yeah.
Hey, I'm sorry, I've been kind of like popping in and out, unfortunately. So I apologize if this already been talked about. But I'm mainly interested in the writing component of these AI tools. And I guess I'm wondering, has anybody done any work on the pedagogy of teaching writing in line with these types of tools? Because um, nothing wrong with literature reviews, they're fantastic. Uh, but there are a lot of many like kind of standard moves that you make in a literature review that I can see like, yeah, okay, the AI is helping me make those moves, great. But there are all sorts of other pieces of writing that students and we have to do that I'm hoping that students can develop their own writing identities, writing styles, writing personas. And I would hate for them to defer to the software that generates the text or predicts what you should say or how you should do this. And I know there's a lot of teaching and conversation I can have with that. I was just interested if you just happen to have known people who are writing the pedagogy of how to make those things happen in light of using those tools so that we can use them effectively and not stifle their own growth as writers.
I think it's determined upon what pedagogy you want, right? So, for example, I like to apply social learning theory. And so what I've done with some of my students is I've had them draft a draft. I've had them have chat draft a draft and then compare notes and then do a peer evaluation with each other. Because then and I have 100% had students say, I like what I wrote better.
Right.
I like my writing better. But going through that process, they could see what the limitations of the AI tool was. And I had them articulate what those limitations were. So it wasn't my talking head telling them that. But I did it with small, like an argumentative essay.
Sure.
Make it small, make it manageable, and play with it. Just have fun with it and understand what is your tone and have them explore that. What is your tone versus what are you feeling and reading with chat? And it was really it was profound because I thought they would think just the opposite. I thought they would think chat did a better job than they did. And I only did this with 12 students in the class, but 100% of them said they liked what they wrote better. So I don't know. I don't think that that's generalizable on any stretch of the imagination, but it's just a little inspo from me and what I've tried.
Well, I think that's really in line with some of the things that I've been thinking as well. I think what also maybe further complicates it a bit, and perhaps maybe it doesn't, is I'm thinking about some of those students that Melanie was talking about. So if you have students who are always going to generate their written text through voice, how do you work with the written word is different than the voiced word. And then of course I'm thinking also second language learners where English is their second or third language or whatever. And so then they are perhaps feeling the pull more to trust that the AI is suggesting the right way to phrase this because I know they're doing the translation work perhaps still in their minds. And I guess it is just goes back to I think what you're saying is doing the activities that are both analytical but also empowering their own voices over really anyone else's voice, not just AI in general, but my voice is the one that matters in my writing. Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate that though. Just
Yeah, I
very
love
helpful.
having other people to bounce these ideas off of, because sometimes whenever you're working in a vacuum, it's hard to know. I mean, I'm seeing it be useful with that class. It might not be useful for the next class. Who knows? Yeah, it is a great discussion.
And Melanie, are you actually sharing that document with us?
Yes.
I hate to ask you because it looks like there is so much work involved in it. It feels like you shouldn't give it away for nothing.
No,
for free.
I would be happy to share. Yes, so I did send Alexis, Allison, and David a copy, but I have a revision to make. So I'll send that to them again, and they can.
And
somehow we'll get a
recording.
list of who all's on here and send it out to everybody.
Okay, fantastic.
And this one is
yes.
being recorded, Jose, so you'll have access to it to go back and
Okay.
take a look at what Melanie was talking about, because it was very rich.
Very much so. Yes. Thank you so
There's
much.
a couple of resources at the very end of the document that we didn't talk about, but they're easy to figure out. I wanted to mention that David Harbine said Lumi is available in Brightspace for instructors for generating AI question generator. So creating quizzes, I believe. Is that right, David? Is David still on here? Yes.
Yeah, they're practice questions. They're not graded quiz questions, but it is
Okay.
available if instructors want to use it to create that. And there's nothing that would stop you from copy pasting the question into a quiz if you wanted to use it as, an actual quiz question.
Thank you.
Quick question for David. Does that software look through the content that you have in your module? And
Right. So you would put content in the same file, the same page that you're adding the question to, and it would scan that content to create the question.
And where do we access that, David?
There is a little plus sign on the create a file menu. The same one you use for adding text to your course.
Yeah.
And on that plus sign, there is a create practice option.
Okay.
And at the very top of the create practice menu, there'll be like a big star, and it will tell you to click there to create a question with Lumi. But you will have to have content on that file first.
Yeah.
So that it will work.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I just want to jump in that there is documentation on the CTRL website about that. So I can pop that into the chat, what the CTRL website is.
Thanks, Caroline. I was also
Thank you,
looking to
Caroline.
see David's hosting a learning lab soon on this too. I was looking to see if I could find the date for that.
I think the scheduled one was last time, but we can definitely schedule another one if there's interest.
Oh, that's great. Okay.
I appreciate that so many people showed up. It was a good turnout.
I am so grateful as well. And thank you, Melanie, for everything. I just was looking to see, yes, David hosted that on October 11th, but we can also offer it later on in November. We've got the next learning lab that we have is syllabus design using UDL and AI for policy development. I'm going to be leading that one. Brightspace Intelligent Agents is scheduled for November 15th, and then and that's with David, and then we've got December 6th, AI Prompt Engineering with Richard. So we've got a few more of those. And then, of course, the Lunch and Learn series that continues to go through November. So we've got integrating AI into your teaching practice. I'll be doing that on the 6th. And Rich is going to be doing citing AI produced content on November 20th. So yeah, hopefully we'll get people back and have some additional conversation. In the meantime, look for the recording for this, and have a great rest of the day, everyone. Thank you for being here, and thank you again, Melanie, for your hard work on this and for sharing your knowledge with us.
Thank you. This was great.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Thanks,
Thanks to
Melanie.
all.